crime if there's no victim. And second of all, he was charged with child pornography. He wasn't charged with statutory rape. So that is one of the questions that continues to come up whenever we talk about R. Kelly, whenever there's a BuzzFeed feature, whenever there's a Pitchfork anything, and now Surviving R. Kelly, the questions in the background are, how did he get away with this for so long? How come nothing ever
The other weird
happened?
shit, too, is like everybody that had that tape had child pornography.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like, that was a wild shit. Like,
Right.
R. Kelly got everybody to get child pornography. Yeah, that shit popping in the hood.
Thanks, Kells.
Thank Robert.
Appreciate that, Robert.
Robert got child porn popping in the hood.
You know, it's Dreamhampton put the documentary together. She did an interview with the Karen Hunter show, which is on Sirius XM.
Yeah.
And they asked her what her thoughts were around this situation, this case, this legacy of abuse or alleged abuse coming from R. Kelly. This is what she said. This is what Dreamhampton said. When I went into this project, I was clear that he was a predator and he was targeting young and vulnerable girls. I don't think I knew he was an abuser. I don't mean to sound naive, but I just don't think physical abuse was part of his repertoire. I certainly didn't know having to listen to women after women talking about being denied food and movement. I mean, we about to get into a couple of episodes where you're going to hear testimonies of girls talking about having to, they couldn't leave the room unless he told them to. And all of them didn't have bathrooms in the room, so they had to use slop buckets. His runners would put slop buckets in the room. I don't think I was prepared for that sadism. Just a example of some of the testimonies that came through in this documentary.
Hey, I don't know if and they're of age, right? Don't they have some agency?
I don't know if I honestly I can't say how old every girl was in their situation.
I'm not saying it's not fucked up, but it's clearly fucked up.
I think that if you're looking at this,
but after you shit in a bucket 4 times, wouldn't you be like, shit in a bucket once, shame on you. Shit in a bucket twice, shame on me.
I think if you look at this as all of them as instances of statutory rape, then I don't think that necessarily is what is captured in this. I think if we're talking about abuse of different types,
yeah,
it's really highlighting a culture of abuse and rape. Now, whether we want to look at this as something that's prosecutable is one conversation. If we're looking at this as from another angle, that these are still crimes, these are things that people can be charged for.
What would the crime be?
Well, there's instances of physical abuse that are being told. So that's literally a crime.
All right.
Now, look, one thing you and I talk about often is that when I think about teachers, right? When I think about all these stories about teachers hooking up with students, you can every 2 or 3 days on Fox News, the website, you can find. It's one of my favorite things to read on Fox News, the website, because to me, it's just amazing how this is not something that is a bigger conversation either. But there's a lot of teachers, for example, who hook up with their students.
Yeah, I was thinking who's fucking more, teachers or priests?
Right.
You know what I mean?
You know what I mean? I mean, there's institutions that really get close to some of these same topics, and they're all abuses of power, in my opinion. But we also forget about the psychological impact that this just has on young people.
Right.
As they live their life forward. And I don't know if the women in these situations were of a strong enough or mature enough mental state to be like, oh, okay, well, I guess slop buckets is where I draw the line. I'm going to leave now. I don't think it was that easy, and it definitely didn't come across in this documentary. It's very hard to leave an abusive relationship. It gets to a point where you feel so bad about yourself, it's hard to fucking go. I end up having to take the other side
because you're so fucking.
I am anti-Kels.
You're
Yes,
so
I am.
fucking anti-Kels.
I am anti-Kels.
I end up having to be like well, you know.
Well, we got to think about it. Well, here's the thing, too, that I did think was interesting around the conversations around surviving R. Kelly. Dream Hampton talked about this on Twitter quite a bit and along her press tour, how difficult it was to get artists who'd collaborated with R. Kelly at different points in their career to speak up about these things. And so John Legend appeared in the documentary, and he said R. Kelly should be ashamed of himself. He should really regret the way he treated these people. And Chance the Rapper was included in the documentary as well. We have a clip of what Chance the Rapper said. Before we play it, to preface this, Chance collaborated with R. Kelly in 2014. He did a couple shows with R. Kelly. I think they did a song or two together. And so he was actually, he did an interview around all of these allegations with R. Kelly. And this is what he said at first, initially, and then he eventually had a clarifying statement. We have about a minute or so.
All right, let's hear Chance.
Making a song with R. Kelly was a mistake. Here's the thing. I think for a long time, I was only able to understand R. Kelly's situation and presence in the world when it comes down to his trial and his accusations and his accusers as a victim. And I don't know if that's because I'm from Chicago, or because he made great music, or because he's a black man.
Mm-hmm. But you saw him as a victim.
But that was just I think like the thing is, like, we're programmed to really be sensitive to black male oppression. It's just prevalent in all media, and when you see niggas getting beat up by the police, it's men. Like, that's like a scene that you see. Like, slavery, for a lot of people, they envision men in chains. Like, but black women are, you know, exponentially higher oppressed and violated group of people. Like, just in comparison to the whole world, you know? Maybe I didn't care because I didn't value the accusers' stories, like, because they were black women, because, like, you know.
And that's a testament to what a large swath of this conversation outside of this documentary has pointed to as well. Maybe people didn't react to the trauma R. Kelly was putting people through because of who those people were.
Could be. Also, there was an understanding that there was a trade, that there was a bit of a trade off going on. Like, he would buy them things, take care of them, take them on trips.
Right. Comfort. Comfort is something that people get accustomed to.
Yeah, so when sex becomes transactionary, the person is devalued in other people's eyes many times.
Right. And look, here's another thing that came away from this that's been a big part of the conversation. How much of this falls on to the parents? At some point, the parents at least knew that their kids were spending time with R. Kelly at some point, right? For example, you know, we talk a lot about one of the women who has been in the news. She's not in this documentary, and she wasn't in the BBC documentary. She's a friend of mine. Her mother's a friend of mine. And she ended up meeting R. Kelly at an R. Kelly concert that her mother took her to. And so people were looking at, okay, well, where are the parents when this kind of thing happens? And that's something that Master P touched on in his response that went viral yesterday. We have a quick clip of that if you want to.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And nobody gonna play with my kids. Straight up. You know what I'm saying? Like, that, you shouldn't even been on TV in there. If you a parent, you shouldn't be on there unless you're on CNN from a jail cell. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. So I don't know if R. Kelly did it or not. That ain't my business. I ain't judging. But I'm just saying those parents shouldn't have let that go that far. And they shouldn't have been knocking on no window, throwing no rocks if they know somebody in there with their kid. You know, and now if you got your kid and your kid come out and they won't go back, that's on them. At least I tried as a parent. But if my kid in there, it's going to be all out walk. Everybody coming outside, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? So I don't respect that part. That's the part I don't respect. Cause if you got love for your kids, you going to walk behind your kids. You ain't doing no reality show. You know, so that's straight up. I don't get that.
That's like, look, yeah. And here's the thing, like it's really muddy, because if he's dealing with underage, then that's I do not co-sign that. I'm totally against fucking R. Kelly fucking with underage girls. But if they're of age and they've worked out some fucking agreement, what the fuck? I don't know what their agreement is. You know what I mean? And we're hearing from these people once the agreement is over. So there might be some hurt feelings. There, you know, like it's like you're hearing from people that got fucking fired from a job, telling you about the job. You know what I mean? Like, so it's, and I have a feeling that Dream Hampton did this documentary with an angle. I don't know if she was like, let's just see what happens. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna guess that she had her own thoughts on R. Kelly, and that's the angle that she went with.
You know, the quote I just read a second ago from her interview on the Karen Hunter show on Sirius seems to be that way, right? She said that she expected to go in and hear cases about, you know, inappropriate behavior. She didn't expect to hear the range of abuse. Maybe that leads to what you're saying, but I'm not sure how much of an angle it is when everybody saw that tape. Everyone knows he married Aaliyah. This is something clearly that has been public information for a while.
Why do you think that he is still embraced?
Well, that's the other thing that's funny, right? Because after all this happens, R. Kelly's streams and sales actually went up. You know, I think that I don't know if he's still embraced. I mean, you and I have gone back and forth on this a few times. I'm not sure he's still embraced.
He's
in the
not
same
ostracized.
way. He's definitely not ostracized, and I think I think celebrity culture is a big part of that. Personally, I think that we generally idolize people who are wealthy, successful people. We put them on a pedestal. We don't treat them the same way as we treat people on our level. People who are less successful than we are. I think there's part of that. I think this guy made music that is the soundtrack to multiple generations. So it's hard for us to separate ourselves from, how much we've appreciated his art and how much it's impacted our own individual lives. And the biggest one, I think there's a knowledge gap. If I really think about when I first found out about Aaliyah and him being married, or the rumors spread, I was in high school. You know what I mean? When I first saw the PP tape, I was in college. I didn't look at any of these things as super predatory because, truthfully, I'm of the same age, and I knew girls who were hooking up with older guys. I knew situations that were, in that vein, and it didn't hit me as something that was necessarily predatory. I didn't think about it being predatory until I saw that Torre interview. Torre asked R. Kelly if he likes teenage girls, and R. Kelly's like, what do you mean by teenage? I mean, that's when I think for me it hit. But that was within our culture, hip-hop culture, music culture, pop culture, black culture, whatever you call it. If you were outside of that in the early 2000s, you knew even less than we did. 5 years later, we didn't know what was happening with that case. There wasn't any Twitter or social media. Everybody wasn't making YouTube videos about the latest court case that just came out.
Yeah.
Information was harder to find. So we didn't have this constant influx of things that were happening. And the same point, I think, is a big reason why you have these broader conversations around #MeToo or Time's Up. There's just a wave of these things because we have more information and that knowledge gap is closing. So right now it'll be interesting to see how he's embraced going forward. If there is an embrace that's still there now, I think it lives because there's a gap of information and the idea that people, just generally speaking, feel better when they can separate the art from the artist because the art represents us.
Let's go to Amber, Palm Springs. Go ahead, Amber.
When I was 14 years old, I was very, very, impressionable. Like I was already sexually active, with older boys, had really kind of not really like the best upbringing. I had been molested by my stepfather. A sexual predator is somebody who has sexual attraction to a child, no matter if the child is fast, no matter if the parents made a hush bribe or whatever. A sexual predator is somebody who has a sexual attraction to children. And I remember, just as you did, when I was in high school, this story was very, very big. And I didn't think about it the way that it's being personified to us now then. But now that I am a victim, or a survivor, should I say, of sexual, molestation, I see this from a totally different point of view. He's still a pedophile. On social media right now, black people, older black people are talking about, they don't want to talk about this. Please don't put any comments on my page about R. Kelly. We're still in denial. It's going to take this man to start killing these girls before we open up our eyes and realize he really is a monster.
Well, there you go.
I mean, this isn't unique. And here's the other thing that I'm running across on my feed quite a bit is what can happen to R. Kelly now, right? Is there any punishment that he's vulnerable towards?
I don't know. I think every state has a different statute of limitation.
On the way over here, TMZ released a story saying that the state of Georgia has opened a criminal investigation into R. Kelly based off of surviving R. Kelly. Now, I don't know what can be done or not, right? So far, the details of this are scant. There's not very many. The state is looking into it. The DA hasn't actually commented on
his
on
last thing,
yet.
his little sex group. Those women were all of age.
There was a period of time for all of them. So I'm not sure all of them that were always exclusively underage. I don't think that all of them were of age when it started, but of age is different per state. So that's another thing that makes it. We're looking at legality versus morality, right? So from a legal standpoint, I'm pretty sure. I mean, Kels has been doing this his whole life, or at least 20 years of my life, that he's probably okay.
Rich and Queens.
Legality-wise.
Yeah, listen, I first wanted to say that R. Kelly's a piece of shit. He's a pedophile. And there's, all of these excuses for him doing what he's done and, people looking at what these girls did or didn't do and the parents and all of this shit. The bottom line, he's a piece of shit. And they really need to do. I'm glad that Georgia is bringing back up this case. I hope he goes to prison for a very long time. Me personally, if I was to ever see him, I'd probably fucking kill him. And that's my word. But in either case, he's a piece of shit. And, even conversations like this, if the conversation isn't about actually getting something done, you giving this man free media. You giving him an out, more and more of an out, and it should be no out. If we were in another country, he'd have been dead already. Minimal, they would have freaking castrated his ass. But
it depends on the country.
Yeah, it depends on the country. I mean, there's other countries.
Some countries,
all of that is.
They're like, hey, it's peace. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, in volumes, it's okay. And the more you do it, the better you're looked at. But in other countries, and
I just don't want to. I just don't want to conflate him abusing teenage girls with him finessing grown ass women. That's my main thing. Like, I just don't want to conflate the two.
I think the only place where I see R. Kelly would be vulnerable, let's look at Bill Cosby, for example, right? The first time Bill Cosby went to court, I mean, he had 40-something allegations, 30-something allegations. He got off on the first time. He went back to court again. As I understand it, the DA found a way to unseal previously sealed documents where he had settled a situation that had happened. So once that information was unsealed, it was presented to the court, and he was liable, and he was held liable. And that's why he ended up being convicted. R. Kelly has a few sealed documents from that trial that no one's seen. If there is a prosecutor, if there is a DA somewhere that's able to unseal those, to me, there is a benchmark to unseal those now with Bill Cosby. That's where I could see him really having to figure something out.
Let's go to Tokyo in Miami. Go ahead, Tokyo.
Yo, what up, Judy? What up, Justin? All right, so I'm friends with Dream. I'm in Miami now, but I was born in Flint, lived in Detroit my whole life. Judy, I'm not sure how much you know about Dream, but she's been on the front lines last 25 years, bro. She was the first one to call out Pac and Biggie live while she was interviewing them on why they say bitch, but then they write songs like Dear Mama and stuff like that. She's very good. That line, Detroit, my Detroit players, that's from Dream. She's the one who took them down to Broadway to get them Gators. So she just had to go off of Twitter because she was getting attacked. And the reason why is because there's people saying, well, if this girl showed up there, these willing girls, some of these girls were of age. We all seen the video. Well, might not all seen it, but we know. R. Kelly already fucked with young girls, bro. It ain't even like a question. So that's a fact. That's facts. Not only did he fuck with them, he fucked them, did everything you could probably do under the sun. Nobody had video of everything. That's fact, though. Dream did stuff about that thing in Transparent in Detroit about the transgender girls getting killed in Detroit. She's been on the front lines of this stuff. She did not go in with an angle, Judy. She went in there literally just to document the stuff at first and had no idea what she was going to come up with when she started speaking with Sparkle, Kelly Price, and a lot of girls that she had known through her documentation of Jay-Z and everything else. This is kind of putting her in a whirlwind mentally. When I spoke with her today, she can't even look at social media, anything right now.
Are you surprised? Are you surprised by that? That's kind of crazy.
No, I'm not surprised. The only thing I'm surprised by, and Judy, you've done so much growing over the last 4 or 5 years just alone, bro, that you wouldn't even have looked at this, Judy. You wouldn't have looked at this the same way 10 years ago, bro. So when you look at it like that, and it's true though, bro. Because a lot of men, we grow slower, bro. We grow slower as far as mentally. And we have a lot of OGs and older dudes, if we're lucky enough to even have OGs and older dudes, fathers in our life, talking in our ear, and you hear that fast girl shit and all this shit. In the hood, there has been a systematic system in place of people protecting abusers, bro. And it's just now coming to light because information's traveling so quick now. Like how Justin said, these sealed up documents, all these things are starting to come to light. That's because things are starting to change. Another thing I want to point out is only 2% out of 100% of women that report rapes, violent crimes, things against them from men, less than 2% are found to be false, bro. So with the statistic like 98% of women being...
I don't know that statistic,
that's true. That's true. I mean, you Google real quick. You have John Google. I'm not trying to spew out any stuff. I'm saying with a factor that big, 98, 99% of women being, more one way or the other right when they were reporting this.
So wait, you said 98% of women. You said 98% of women.
We have to start taking them for what they're worth.
All right, I don't know that one, but that's pretty high. It's a pretty high fucking percentage. All right, man. Thanks, Tokyo.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Judy.
That was Tokyo. Let's play a song, and who we're gonna call? Who
we're gonna check on that, but we'll have more information in a second.
All right, we'll play a song and come on back. Shade 45, we are back.